Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Film Frauds, where myself, Matt, my two co-hosts, Mark
Hello.
and Tyler,
Hello.
provide our completely unprofessional, 100% biased opinions on the movies of today, tomorrow, and yesteryear. And today we're back with the good picks. I'm going. And what we're doing today is a sort of a huge nostalgic movie for me. That is 1986's Aliens, a movie that I saw when I was very young, probably too young to actually watch it, and I've rewatched countless times. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So, gonna give us a bit of a spoilers how I feel about it. I love this movie, and having rewatched it again last night, I love it the same. I think as I get older, I appreciate more film aspects of the movie, whereas when I was younger, I'm like, oh, it's awesome when the aliens get shot. I definitely appreciate like having rewatched it. There's a lot more I want to talk about, especially in relation to Alien and more of like the filmmaking aspects of this movie. But there's someone here who's on the opposite side of me who had never seen Aliens before, like on a whole 23 years of having watched it for some reason. And that man is at the bottom of Film Frauds, literally and metaphorically. That is.
Am I not the bottom anymore?
I meant bottom is in low standards. That is Mark. How to keep going.
I got so excited.
Confused. Oh, am I
Mark,
going
what do
now?
you think of
Yes!
Aliens?
So I watched. Well, I gotta say, I'm a member of the Prometheus school of running away from things. I'm a lover of that.
Yeah, Mark and I are in the cult of the engineers.
Let's. Yeah, that's right. So what's my history with Alien, or just the franchise? So I think I watched Alien versus Predator, I think back in 2006 or 7. And I have this distinct memory of a predator fighting a swarm of xenomorphs on an Incan temple or something.
Yeah,
that's
it's in the Arctic.
Scene.
Yeah, it's in the Arctic.
Yeah, or something like that. And I was like, this is weird. Is this the Alien franchise? And then I watched Prometheus 5 years later, and I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever witnessed. And I never watched. So
It's never occurred to him.
Never occurred to you to watch the starter.
Prometheus was enough for me because I don't care about the xenomorphs, to be quite honest. My opinion on that has changed since I watched Alien, but I thought that the formula for each Alien movie was there's an alien on a ship and then Ripley kills it, and that's the movie. That's what I thought all the movies were, because there's 3 of them, or there's 4 of them because there's Resurrection or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 4.
Okay.
Quadrilogy.
Oh God. Oh, you have it? Wow.
I bought it.
That
Yeah.
surprised me.
I've had this for 2 years now. This is not. I didn't buy it for this episode.
Okay. So I watched Alien for the first time this week. I mean, I don't have anything else to add to it. It's amazing. Seeing the engineer ship and then going in and seeing the engineer, I was like,
I was just like, 13-year-old Mark again.
Yeah.
I was like, where's the bag of Skittles? So Alien 1 is a masterpiece. I mean, what else can you say? Aliens. I was halfway through the movie, and I was like, I just couldn't. I was like, why haven't I watched this? I was kind of in awe, because I was thinking, okay, I finished Alien earlier this week, and I thought to myself, okay, how is Ripley going to get back into the, back on LV-426, or how is a xenomorph going to come back in? I was just trying to think of a scenario, and I couldn't. And as I was watching Aliens, I was just surprised at the amount of ingenuity of it, and just I was just blown away at all the creative aspects, the filmmaking, the storytelling. It was just every level of the film was just incredible. And I just hit my lamp. Though I do have such minor criticisms. You guys may agree with me or may not. I'm ready to fight. But I loved Aliens. I'm gonna watch it so many more times in my life, and I cannot believe I didn't watch it sooner.
Yeah. And Tyler, you've seen the movie once before, right?
Yeah, so I have a weird relationship with the Alien franchise, this whole universe. I was actually similar to Mark, where the first thing I ever saw was Alien versus Predator when I was way too young to watch it, and I was like, it's great. There's a giant, they just fight each other. I'm like, oh my god.
This Paul Thomas Anderson guy is a great director.
And then And then the sequel to Alien vs. Predator Requiem came out.
AVP Requiem.
Yep, and I remember saying I want to see it in theaters, but I didn't see it opening weekend. And then a week later, because not a single person in the United States went to see it, it was out of theater. And this is before I knew about movies. I was like, "What? I couldn't get to see Alien vs. Predator Requiem." I watched it a few years later. I would have been scarred if I saw that in theaters. It is like the most.
AVP Requiem is just kind of gross.
It's just like it's a teen slasher movie with xenomorphs. It's like visibly disgusting, and like it looks horrible too. And then I saw Prometheus and was like, the fuck is this? And I've gotten better. I like the movie now as I've gotten older. And then I like 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, I'm gonna watch Aliens. And I watched the first Alien. I'm like, this thing's incredible. And then I watched Aliens. I'm like, this thing's also incredible. And then a few years went down the line, and I rewatched Alien again. I'm like, this thing's great. And I didn't rewatch Aliens. And then Matt, you and I actually went and saw Alien in theaters at one of our old colleges before we graduated, like our old art house cinema. And it was like really cool. We saw it like a 10 p.m. late night show with like a crowd when you could have crowds of people.
Back in the before times.
Back in the before times before COVID. And you watch it and you're like
the old normal.
The old normal. And you're like, God damn, this movie is like aged phenomenally. I think it came out in 79. Yeah?
Yeah, Alien was 1979, Alien is 1986.
Yep, and then, so rewatching Aliens, this might be the best blockbuster movie ever. There is legitimately, like, I'm never like to say that the movie's flawless, because movies, like, even like the great classics usually can always like point to be like, one thing I liked less, not necessarily a flaw, but one thing you enjoy. There is a point in this where I think like an hour and like 20 minutes in, I'm like, why don't I watch this like every single day? Like there was that kind of like moment of like, why have I only seen this twice? Like, it's not, why have I never seen this? I'm like, why have I only seen this twice? I don't think I would have appreciated this movie as much if I watched it when I was younger, because there's a lot of subtlety that I think is missed if you watch this at a younger age, and you can pick up if you're kind of like a bigger movie fan as you get older and watch more stuff. And I think that really speaks to the testament of not only how blockbusters have aged, but just how timeless this movie is. I think this is a legitimately like perfect movie. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic with that statement.
Yeah. I would say that the Alien franchise is maybe the most interesting franchise out of any film franchise ever, because there isn't like a mediocre Alien movie, at least for me. There's only great and terrible, kind of. Yeah. So like I would like classify Alien, Aliens, Prometheus as being great in my opinion, and then Alien 3 Resurrection, and then all the other ones like Covenant and like AVP, like they're all kind of terrible in their own ways. And but like with like the Terminator movies, like you have like generic Terminator movies, so there really isn't like a generic Alien movie. It's always, other than the AVP movies, like every Alien movie has like, even when it's terrible, there's like something weird about it. It feels like there's a vision. Like that, like Resurrection was directed by the French director who made Emily.
Really?
Which is like
wow.
Like, you know, one of the most famous international films of all time. And it's just so weird and strange. And it's like it kind of works somehow, but it's also terrible.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, oh my god, it was.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And I mean, Alien 3 was directed by David Fincher before like David Fincher became David Fincher. You're right. I'm more in the camp of like Prometheus isn't great. I'm in the more of the good camp now. So for me, it's like too incredible, too good, and the rest are just downright awful.
Yeah. But going off of like you saying, like we both agreed that this is like, at least in my opinion too, it's like the best blockbuster movie. And I think a large part of that has to do with the first like 45 minutes to hour of this movie.
It's an hour on the nose.
Basically where it's all character development. So like I want to get you guys' opinions on like, when you think of like a modern day blockbuster, you think you got to have the intro action scene, blah, 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 and all of that. Like, what did you guys think of the first hour of this movie and like how it takes time to like develop characters and like a theme and like a setting?
Mark, this is all you. This is your first time watching this. What'd you think?
Well, I just want to address one thing, just one of my critiques for the first part of the film. It's when you have that awesome dream of Ripley where she has the
chest burster.
Yep.
Chest burster coming out. But like right before that, they tell her like you've been in cryosleep for 57 years.
Yeah.
That's given to us, and then it's sort of never addressed again. I was expecting a scene where like Ripley's like, "Oh no, my family is dead," or something, you know, or like where's her family basically?
There's a deleted scene where like her daughter is mentioned. Like her daughter basically lives her life and dies while she's in cryosleep.
Yep.
And you can assume that because of her relationship with Newt, like a lot of it to do with like the lack of relationship we have with her daughter Amanda. So but like obviously that's not in the base movie, so that's a fair criticism for it.
So the Aliens Blu-ray on this has the 1990 special edition and the 1986 theatrical, and I didn't know what the special edition was until after I watched theatrical, and it does contain more of backstory, like what Matt was saying, where Ripley does have a daughter, and that does explain more context. I might honestly go back in like a few weeks and rewatch the special edition to see if it adds anything to it, because I'm very curious if it enhances the Ripley Newt relationship. But we might be jumping the gun a little bit.
It enhances parts of it. We'll go into more of that in a bit, because I know like there's a part that it adds that I think takes away from what makes Aliens great.
Yeah.
But the part I think makes Aliens stick out is that there's like a mystery in the first hour of what happens to these colonists.
Yeah.
Because you've been with Ripley and an Alien, and so like what's going on, but like most of the people like the big suits at Weyland-Yutani don't know. The Colonial Marines don't really know what they're getting into. But like that first hour is just like establishing that mystery, and it all like comes to a head within that first basically at the hour mark. But I do really appreciate the fact that the movie has so much restraint in its first hour. With the Colonial Marines specifically, it follows. I'm gonna echo Tyler's point he made in his Letterboxd review, which is something that I picked up on as well. Like with the crew in the Nostradamus and Alien, you don't know who the main character is until like halfway through the movie. When Sigourney Weaver finally like comes on to take the leading role. Yep. With the Colonial Marines, like every Colonial Marine kind of has the same amount of characterization. Yep. In the first hour, so you don't know like what's going on there. Like Mark, when you're watching this, like what do you think of like the Colonial Marines when they first came on screen?
That was one thing I want to talk about as well. Their introduction scene. I got to admit, I kind of like rolled my eyes a little bit at their introductions. I mean, they were very distinct from one another, but like when I think of Marine, I think of like discipline, and they seem really undisciplined. They each seem distinct. But they just seemed like these vessels for like one-liners. And I was thinking to myself,
good one-liners though.
Yeah, they're really good.
They're good one-liners.
Have you ever been confused for a man, Vasquez? No. Have you? Yeah, that stuff's great. That's so great.
Yeah, it's cheesy. But I was thinking, like, did Alien invent that trope? Aliens? Was that a small sense of ingenuity?
This was like, so we're talking now mid-'80s. I think Schwarzenegger has been established as like an action star by this point. I don't think they established the quippy one-liner, but I mean, they definitely I think this is some of the best versions of it out there.
Yeah. But I think as the movie goes on and the Colonial Marines just start to like become more distinct from one another, it gets much better. But like that first scene, I was like, oh no. I was like, is this the whole movie with them? But then, but yeah, that was just a very small critique I had.
So I'm gonna like slightly disagree, but I can understand where you're coming from. Someone who who doesn't know it, like I think that stuff is enhanced on more rewatches. For me personally, like watching, it's rare to see such a well-developed group of people. Like there's a very like tangible sense of chemistry, which is apparent not only in their actions, but Cameron has the like people doing stuff in the background, even when the camera isn't on focused on them. There's a scene when they're walking the cargo bay where like Vasquez and another person are like pretend fighting with each other. It's never drawn to any attention, but it's just a scene in the background that just establishes like a lived-in world, a sense of like community between these colonial Marines. Mm-hmm. And something that is just, it's sorely present, lacking in contemporary like blockbusters, because contemporary blockbusters have a focus on the foreground because of either bigger special effects, they have to put all their money in that shot, or the background's usually less of a focus because of star power effects and stuff like that. And this one, Cameron has stuff happening throughout. We have an audience member.
Intruder, Robert.
Intruder. Oh no, that was actually kind of scary. It looked like an intruder. My God. What was I saying? Cameron has stuff happening in the background. So it creates this. You get this direct sense of camaraderie through dialogue when they're out like eating food, and then in the background, if you like rewatch scenes and pay attention, there's stuff happening in the background that I think is interesting.
Yeah, and I would say like they're very they're very jokey, but
Yeah.
watching them do like their routines, like when they're holding the guns and practicing, like I don't know, I got the sense that like yeah, they have big personalities, but I think like when push comes to shove, they're in the zone when like they need to be.
Yeah.
Especially when they're going through the colony itself and it's all deserted and they're like basically like robots performing like their shifts and whatever.
Yeah.
I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of got that, and like what you say with characters doing little things that build their personality. Like there's that one scene where they're looking at the acid drops in the colony, and like Hudson spits,
Yeah.
and then like Vasquez slightly nudges him forward. And
Yeah.
it's like not Johnny. Like there's like a dialogue scene going on during it with Apon, and
Yeah.
but like it's like a small thing. He goes like, "Quit screwing around."
Yeah.
Like, things like that, I think really helped, and the acting too, I think is great. I mean, like Michael Biehn is like a pretty iconic actor for that time. Like he was in Terminator and he was in The Abyss as well.
Yeah,
you
he
know,
was
Bill
he was
Paxton.
Kyle Reese in Terminator, right?
Yeah, he was
Okay.
Kyle Reese in Terminator. Bill Paxton obviously has been like a very common name. He's iconic in this movie, and then like the other characters other than Sigourney Weaver like maybe aren't as well known, but like I think they all have like pretty good personalities. Like Gorman's he's like this academy student who like never saw real combat, and you got like this scummy corporate guy. Like they all have like their roles,
Yeah.
and like no two characters really feel exactly the same, which I think really helps. And there's no scene where like when they're first eating dinner, like they wake up from like their pods and they start eating breakfast, and like there's no like, well, I'm Hudson and I'm from Illinois and I came to Colonial Marines. It's like it takes on that alien route where it's like these people already know each other, so it makes no sense for them to give their backstories, which I thought was great.
That's the biggest thing I want to talk about is there is not a singular scene of exposition to establish character outside of Ripley. And I could not believe it, because if this movie was made 2000, I said in my Letterboxd review, and I want to talk more about Hicks later, but Hicks slowly becomes the secondary protagonist of the movie. And there is never a scene where they go, Hicks is our best soldier. Like Hicks is the best. He just naturally is shown to be the best. And there would absolutely, in a contemporary blockbuster, be lines of being like, oh, Hudson, that's just his game. He just makes jokes and stuff like that. But there's like a scene, and I know it's where they task Hudson with like breaking into the, like opening the door and stuff like that. It's a small little thing, but these characters are goofy, but they're like intelligent and there's credibility to it. And I was so baffled by this on a rewatch that there's like no big exposition scene in this movie outside of a reveal towards the end.
Also, like the Weyland Yutani like meeting when she first goes to like their board of directors or whatever, and they're like, "There's nothing wrong with the colony. Like, why did you pull up your ship? Like, clearly there's nothing wrong. There was no trace of xenomorph life." That stuff, I don't know, like those characters are just so iconic to me, like having watched them for like almost 2 decades now, like rewatching this movie and everything, and I love that. I kind of want to go into, before we go into like the first action scene, like I just want to like shout out like the art design and the setting design in this, because I think it's phenomenal. The two concept drawers or concept creators are a guy named Sid Mead and a guy named Rob Cobb, and like they were like tasked to like design like the colony, the look of the ships and like the tanks and everything. And they're talking about like having to draw things while also making it practical for like a shooting standpoint. They really like, so like everything feels very they called it like make it look like a futuristic Vietnam War setting. That was kind of cool. Like, so you have to use your creativity as to what a future setting would look like, while also operating in the lines of practicality with like, oh, we have this kind of a budget, we have this kind of, because we're making sets. It's not a Marvel movie where we have CGI, you can theoretically do whatever you want. I don't know, I think that really helps and like make this universe feel so alive. I don't know, like did anything stand out to you with like the setting and like the costumes and any of that stuff?
I have a few things, but I'm curious what Mark thinks on this one.
I think I definitely picked up on the set design when they go to like the atmosphere creator thing, and you see how the xenomorphs have taken over, and it's like just crawling throughout the halls, and you got the twisting like roots on the ground. That's when I became really aware of it, and I was like, wow, this is incredible for like 1986. I was kind of blown away. Same with like the interior of the base where they were set up, like the med pod and all that stuff. It was just, I really felt like I was on the planet.
There are like legit. So I mean, one of the best aspects of this is the fact that almost everything in this is practical. There are a few like establishing like green screen shots and stuff like that, but everything from the sets they're walking in to the actual xenomorphs, which at a few times look like people in costumes still, or like puppets.
Not as bad as Alien.
Not as bad. Alien has like a few where you're like, that's a pup, like
Yeah.
the birthday surprise.
That's a toy or a guy in a costume.
Yes. There is one slight. I'm gonna jump to the end, but when Ripley's facing off with the Queen, and you can see them like all like in like they're all like looking in at the Queen. They look like they're like people like, and then they like back away. There's a few times, but like when they like come off the wall, it's incredible. But in terms of like costume design, this movie does like a few really smart things. The first is it establishes a need for us to go to a new planet, but not have the characters wear masks. By throwing in the line that like, yeah, we terraformed the planet for an atmosphere. One adds a sense of
cleaner than Earth.
Yeah. And then they all die. But what this movie does is, one, it establishes a nice sense of time passage from Alien to Aliens. 57 years have passed. Of course, technology is going to be better. It does that, but it also removes the need for our characters to not have to wear masks, which then we get more of their expressive faces. Then we get a more kind of connectivity with them. And it also takes away from, because there's a lot of like man versus beast and like man versus man in this, and it takes away the need for like man versus nature, where you don't have this like we can't go out there, because at a certain point I feel like too much conflict is almost too much, because this movie does a nice job of creating a nice sense of escalation, and throwing in a world where you can't go outside without like suffocating, I feel like would have been too much. But also, again, it removes the need for masks. I think that was like the biggest thing, because you expect them to go down and then all their faces, and then you get like the inside cam, and it made it feel much more tangible and like real to me, and I thought that was a really great thing.
Another one thing I wanted to point it out was I don't know the names off the top of my head, but there was, for me, on this viewing of Aliens, I was very suspicious of the android. Just like
Bishop,
Bishop, that's right. I think that was like I was waiting for him to do something. It was just added like a whole other layer of suspense for me. Because like, obviously Bishop had to like comply with whatever Burke's asked him to do, and Burke was obviously of ill intent. So right up until the end, I was suspicious of him, and I really love that aspect. And so I want to do a segue right now, because I want to sort of like the ending of the first act. And you sort of touched on this, Matt.
All right, everyone, we're back. Had to take a quick little break, but Mark had a brilliant point and a brilliant segue ahead of us. So, Mark, floor is yours.
Yeah. So we're on to the first fight in Aliens, which is an hour in. And the point I wanted to make about this fight is I was amazed at the level of restraint that James Cameron had. Matt, you made this remark earlier. Because the second they land on the planet, you're just wondering, when's the xenomorph going to show up? And I could not think of a more spectacular way of introducing them. Because I was beginning to speculate. I was like, where are they? What's going on? They're not showing up on the radar. Are they immune to the radar? Does it deflect off them? What's going on? And then you get this part where they put that person's head up, and then she opens her eyes, and then it's just like everything clicks to like 11.
You get that slight move. Like there's that lady, that lady Marine walking around, and like you see like the background, and the background starts moving. And you realize it's a xenomorph. Like everything crap hits the fan right in that moment.
And what I love about that scene as well is that whole layer of they've literally entered the xenomorph headquarters, and they aren't allowed to shoot.
Like you like visually too, because like everything has the cocoon like layer over it. Like it feels like you're going into like an alien. Like it feels like you're going into hostile territory as well, which is great.
That was the point I wanted to make.
I feel like though it's important because the first ever classified as the modern blockbuster is Jaws. It came out in 1975. It's the first Jaws, the first movie to ever gross $100 million domestically, and it feels like Cameron took some inspiration from Jaws here, but it's also not in a sense, because the benefit of this being a sequel, and there is also an argument for this being the best sequel ever made. Only does there's like James Cameron also has like maybe the option number 2 with Terminator 2, where the sequel
he's made 2 of the best sequels.
It's incredible. But
So
James
Avatar
Cameron,
2 is going to be amazing.
Avatar 2, yeah,
Oh, of
True
course,
Lies
yeah.
2, The Abyss 2,
When it comes out.
Titanic
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
Titanic 2 would be
There
great.
is a Titanic too.
I know there is. I've seen the poster for it. But my point was James Cameron could practice restraint because it's already an established universe. If this is the first like IP in the Alien, if this was the first Alien movie, I doubt we go an hour without seeing it that long. Like I think like I mean the first Alien movie has that distracted me. Like legitimately threw me off. Matt's got stuff going on in the background. But the first Alien movie has like a chest burster sequence. So you have that moment where it bursts out and runs away, and then you have that constant on it like tension happening. And this one, that tension is constantly going because you're waiting for the stuff to like the shit to hit the fan. Because
Because you and Ripley have already been through like that hell that was Alien.
yeah,
And all these colonial marines are like confident and cocky about it.
yeah,
Like line them up, I'll shoot them down. And it's
Yep.
like things are
Yeah.
gonna go bad.
yeah,
Yeah.
And just like the filming of that first action scene is so great too, because it's all most of it is shown through the cameras on like the armored tank.
yeah,
So like you're getting like different perspectives, and they do a good job of like again with not explaining things to the audience. There's a great scene where they're dropping and then Gorman's looking at the cameras like, Drake, fix your camera. And
Yep.
like that. So you know what they're used for without saying, this camera will allow me to see what you guys are looking at during the flight.
yeah.
Things like that. And I don't know, I mean, obviously the main reason why they choose to film the fight scene through like the cameras is because like the aliens didn't look like if they had costume aliens running around like really stupid.
Yeah.
But I think that adds to like the creativity of the movie, and I think that I prefer it to be shot like that, even if it was made in modern times.
There's also that wonderful sense of chaos where the first real action of that scene is the female Marine being grabbed up and taken away, but then her shooting the extinguisher, the flamethrower, to set another Marine on fire who
That
falls
Marine's name
over.
is Frost.
Is it Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Oh, damn. Okay, that's awesome. But so that's that nice bit of irony. But it's also like a nice sense of like, oh, these people aren't like infallible. Like
Yeah.
they have now like one has just accidentally killed the other person, and that's it. And I love that like one sense of tension, but two going like, oh my god, we're horribly outclassed, like kind of thing. Like, oh wow, we needed every man that we can get to probably survive this movie, and now we just lost two like that.
And then another like two more Marines.
Matt's frozen.
Matt's frozen. Oh no.
He gave us a peace sign and dipped.
That's the greatest pause ever. Holy crap. All right, guys, I guess we'll pause and we'll be right back. Oh, there's Matt. Matt,
Yeah.
you
I was
legitimately
talking
paused,
and all of a sudden I hear you guys are moving too, and you're talking, but all of a sudden I hear Matt's frozen, and I'm like just talking, like, no, I'm not frozen. What are you talking about?
Your screen literally froze like this.
That's awesome.
What were you saying? So there's
to watch it in the playback.
I know.
Yeah,
there are
I
two
can't
Marines.
really-
I'm not gonna cut that out. I'm too lazy. There are two Marines.
Oh yeah, I said there are two Marines that like died from like a bomb. Like remember, like a bomb catches on fire, and they just like
Yeah.
look, "Buh," and then
Yeah.
Hicks like has to pull them out of the way, but they still die from it.
It's not a bomb. It's the magazines they collected. So
Oh
it's their
yeah,
own,
yeah, that's right.
It's their
that's
own
right.
mistake that leads
Yeah.
them to ultimately doing that. There's a lot of great stuff in this first action sequence, but again, I think the standout is how long it takes to get there. I don't think it's like the chaos. I think it's just the fact that you go a solid hour without really anything substantial happening in the movie except for suspense building. And it's this it's this lovely sense of sustained tension because you know something's going to happen, like I already said. There's this great one point I noted when I was first watching the movie. There's actually two things. This is actually going to double back one quick thing, but when they discover Ripley's ship, before when that thing like comes down to drill into the door, there's a quick second where it looks like a xenomorph. It looks like the body of it, and I noticed that, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "That's really cool." But also, there's this great
accident in his room.
I was like, "Oh my god!" by myself in just darkness. I'm like, "Did you see that, guys?" Like, whoa. But there's this great sense of like where the world has moved on, and the world doesn't care about what happened to Ripley, but Ripley's now only getting a chance to deal with what happened in Alien. So it creates this like nice like dichotomy between like past and present. Like Ripley's like, for her, the events happened like yesterday, and for the rest of the world, they're like, "And we don't really care, man." Like, "Oh, you had an alien encounter? Okay."
Yeah.
They're like, "Sure."
Yeah, they're so condescending to her.
Yeah, I think it's really great.
There's one thing I want to talk about is what surprised me about this film, and this is due to me being so. I haven't watched these films up until this week for the first time, but when the aliens were getting killed so easily, the xenomorphs, I mean, I understand the technology had improved. It's been 57 years. But
Also, like they have like they're trained Marines versus like people like crew members.
Yeah.
yeah,
They're the xenomorphs are going up against like trained soldiers too.
Yeah.
I know that, but here's my reasoning. So I've seen, I've already outlaid what I've seen. I've seen, Covenant, and I saw Alien, and my idea of the xenomorph was this like indestructible, all-killing, the perfect organism. And the second they started getting blown up by the Marines, I was like, that kind of takes away from the, now I think that makes sense why they had like the horde of xenomorphs as opposed to just a few. I mean, it makes up for it, but it kind of lost the xenomorph punch lessened in this film for me.
That's
that make
hilarious
sense?
because I feel the exact opposite.
Yeah, so
I
do
watched
I.
Aliens first, and then seeing the stupid alien coming and running around in broad daylight,
Yeah.
like surviving everything was the lamest thing in my opinion. Because
Okay.
xenomorphs are insects, like they call them bugs, and like
Yeah.
the way they behave is like bugs. Like they crawl up in the ceiling. The parasites are bugs. Their design is to blend into their background. So like in Alien Covenant, when you see that stupid alien running around, like surviving everything, surviving gunshots and everything, and it was just in bashing its head on the window of like the cockpit. It was so stupid to me when I saw that. So that's funny. We both had reverse.
Okay, I'd have to rewatch it then because I don't want to.
I
do that,
love
actually.
how like they just kind of sneak around everywhere. Like that's like what their design is meant to be for.
I'm with Matt on this one. I think like the horde aspect of it because I think you also have to understand, like, I think this movie's effective because if you look at when it came out, the first movie Alien was this entire encounter with just one, and then the second movie is, okay, what happens if we escalate it where the people now have guns and they're trained, but oh crap, now let's throw in hundreds of them. Like, we had this giant threat in the first movie, this almost like insurmountable obstacle, this ultimate killing machine. Hey, let's just make him like, we know the potential of them. But the only reason that might feel that way is because they do have guns. But it's kind of that thing of like, when Burke like runs away, like we know he's gonna die because there's nothing he can do, and I think that still maintains that threat. I mean,
and like with the first fight scene, like you see the aliens, but you don't like see them in like their full. Like there's like that one great shot of like Hicks with a shotgun. He's like, and it's like you hear like the alien scream. They keep that suspense. They do a good job of never really showing you exactly what they're going up against, even though you know what the alien is. But I mean, I love that restraint because like you're watching it through the cameras and you're just imagining like Gorman doesn't know what's going on, and like Ripley's probably having PTSD. And this is also the first scene where Ripley finally gets back into her old like self.
Yep.
Like I love because I guess we're kind of progressing through the scene after like they're getting massacred, and then Apon like their leader dies, and like that's I mean I'm not sure Mark would be surprised by him being killed off in that first scene.
I was surprised that he was killed off so early because usually with these kinds of movies you can tell like who's gonna die first.
Yeah.
And
he probably like one of the more characterizations of the Marines too.
You could just tell like how much the movie devotes to a certain character, and the fact that he disappeared.
The first action of any of the Marines is he wakes up at a crowd,
puts a cigar,
puts a cigar in, and you're like, and then like the first line is like, "Oh, Hudson, you want me to get your slippers for you?" or something like that. It's like
you're cold. So
yeah.
But like you have Ellen Ripley like finally taking command, like she's
Ellen.
To, like, listen. Yeah.
Hicks.
Oh, her name is Ellen Ripley. That's
Ellen
right.
Ripley, yeah.
I was like,
Ellen.
I'm just never used to hearing her first name.
I don't know why I said it. I just said Ellen Ripley. But you have her like finally taking command. Like she's like sick of listening to other people like to boss her around, and I love it when she like this is how you do like obviously Sigourney Weaver's character of Ripley has influenced like awesome female characters.
Yeah.
Like throughout like even through today. But the good thing about her is that it's more of like her personality that makes her like a strong female character than like her just being indestructible. Like she's not like a Marine. So what she can do, she can take charge and get right in the middle of the fight to save the Marines with the armored vehicle. Like I just saw that scene where she takes command is like so great, and like Gorman's like, what are you doing, Ellen Ripley? And like all the things fall on his head.
And then like falls over. It's like, oh, he's concussed. That's it. I think Ripley's characterization is something that transcends past a typical like strong female character to just one of the strongest action characters in like movie history, and it's like a very baffling thing because I didn't get it. I've seen Alien 3 times, and this is the second time I've seen Aliens, and I didn't get a chance to watch Alien again before this. but from what I remember, the character arc for her just continues from Alien. Like she has that slight thing where she's dealing with the trauma of it, but you're right. This is like lovely natural progression where her character never changes. I haven't seen Alien 3, to be completely honest. Like I don't know
You're
what
not.
happened.
Don't even bother. To
Don't
watch
even
the
bother
other
with her.
ones,
Okay.
yeah.
It's just like a very natural like progression throughout. She changes external. She changes like not. Oh man, I'm fucking it up.
Come on.
She never.
You can do
Come
it.
on.
Spit it out.
Oh no. She never loses her core. While things change around her, she never loses her core sense of like character, which I think
Yeah,
is
she
a
doesn't
really
have to
good thing.
relearn anything. Like she's not.
Yeah.
She doesn't all of a sudden become docile for the sake of the plot. Like
Yep.
for the sake of her, having to relearn the same things again.
Yep. That was my point.
Kung Fu
Thank
Panda
you.
3.
Wait, what was that? What was
Kung Fu
that?
Panda 3.
Oh, damn it! That was the most
Um,
disappointing movie ever.
But like I said, like they're able to make her strong without her going past like the realm of what skills she would have believably.
Yep.
Like she's not obviously in a lesser movie. She'd be with the Marines during their fight, but it doesn't make any sense here. Like she would die if she was in that first fight. But I love that. And then it's not even really like a fight scene. Like going to the end of that scene, it's not really a fight scene. It's more like a slaughter. Like they don't know what they're getting themselves into, and then. And like again, the genius of building these characters is that they all have personalities, but most of them have personalities, but like none of them have really stepped up as being a main character yet. So believably, any of them could die during this fight. And then like even that Drake character, the one who talks to Vasquez a lot, like you think he's gonna make it out, and then he gets shot by the xenomorph and gets sprayed with acid and dies. And I don't know, I thought all that stuff. Like the ending where they just get completely routed is just so great.
Well, there's actually a nice decision where Gorman and Drake, you get the like, hey, they're still alive, and they're like, no, they're not.
Like no,
that's
we cannot go back.
Yeah, we can't go back.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, there's that lovely sense of like scale.
Like we're over
weight.
our heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to compliment. I already said this before, but the escalation of conflict is incredible in this movie. You have this one lovely moment. So. Just to jump ahead, because now we're getting to like full action territory. It's Burke, Bishop, Ripley, Hicks, Vasquez, Hudson, and Gorman. Not Gorman. The leader.
Gorman.
Thank you. Who all survive and they get away in the car and they make it back to the base. Newt's there too. Then they call to be rescued.
Yeah.
Then the ship go. Then the rescue
What's
ship.
This? Will you just get up here?
Yeah, get up here. And then she goes to take out the gun, and their ship goes down. They're stranded. And then you get the line of when are they going to come down to get us? Oh, they're going to come down in 17 days. And Hudson's like,
17 days. We're not going to last 17 hours, man.
Hudson has the best lines in this movie.
Bill Paxton just kills it in this movie.
Yeah.
Then he's like, game over. He's all like the bits of the ship. Game over.
Game over, man. While Gorman's like in a stretcher, like underneath the bit.
Yeah,
Game over,
Gorman,
man. It's
the
just
guy
like
no one likes.
Yeah.
So do you want to take it to the next, I think, in my opinion, the next big scene, which is when Newt and Ripley fall asleep and they wake up?
So am I the only one who thought that the facehuggers were like ridiculously good? Like the effects of the facehuggers I thought were just absolutely incredible.
I think that's the most terrifying scene in the whole movie. That movie scared the crap out of me.
So you have like this great action scene, and then this slaughter basically. Then like the next action scene is probably better, but it's so much more low key. And I mean, Mark, talk me through like what you thought about it.
It was. I think it was at this point in the movie, like just coming off like the incredible first scene with the xenomorphs. I was like, that was incredible.
Yeah.
It was like a scene where I was like, I said to myself, this is when I said, why haven't I seen this sooner?
Yeah.
Because the xenomorph the facehugger is just one of the most iconic creatures ever.
Yeah.
And just seeing the scene devoted entirely to its ferocity was just astounding. I mean, I think that the brilliance of that scene is just you can feel the terror because just the threat of this thing latching onto your face and condemning you to death is just horrifying. And I think it just totally elevates.
It has one. If you learn about it, it's nature. It has one instinct, and that's to reproduce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you see it like. I don't know, like I thought like when it was like scurrying around, like all that stuff looked so good. It looked so freaky to me. Yeah. And it's like a practical effect too, but like I never saw it as like a toy,
Yeah.
Mainly as Zoot's like obviously like the acting. Like the woman who plays Newt is just incredible. But like the child actress.
Oh yeah.
She manages like, I mean, she's obviously afraid a lot, but she manages to never be like the terrified little girl like stereotype. And then like, you know, Ripley and Sigourney Weaver's obviously like really selling the fear there, but like, and then like the sound effects of like the whipping tail, like like all that stuff, I think just adds to, again, going into like, you know, having a compromise as a filmmaker. Like if this was made today, like they had all the CG in the world to make like this super crazy action scene, but like the fact that they add like, they know they have a piece of plastic they're dealing with, so they find all these cool ways to make it more terrifying.
Yeah. There's also like a few things. I feel like we should establish there's a bunch of stuff that happens up until that point that I feel like are necessary for conflict, and also come to my one slight minor critique about this movie. A very slight one. I'm sorry. Listen, okay. So after all the Marines die, they go back and they hunker down. They basically barricade the place. They find out they only have 17 days. They find out, oh, you know, they're going to last only 17 hours. Bishop comes in, or they barricade the place. They make it super safe. Then Bishop goes, hey, we only have like 4 hours left. But then you get the exposition dump, the one really big one where you find out that Burke, the guy who works for Weyland-Yutani, actually sent the colonists to go look at what was going on with the xenomorphs, basically condemning them all to death as an experiment. We find out Burke is like this secondary antagonist, and Ripley knows, and then he locks Ripley and Newt in that room to basically like create them as a new host so we can get them back to study.
Yeah.
That's how they get there. My one minor complaint, I don't know how necessary Burke is to this. It's good. I like when he's in there.
James Cameron's just having like corporate D-bags.
That's the thing. There's a certain point though, but by that point we've established, oh God, there's so many xenomorphs. Oh God, we have 4 hours. Do we really need the Burke like sleazy corporate guy scene? It's good and I like it, but I need it
for that one fight, for that one scene with the facehugger. So I think it's okay.
That's the thing. Yeah, I
agree with you, Tyler.
Yeah, it's like it's not a big enough complaint to detract anything of this movie, but there's a point when I was watching it where I went, my God, I'm on the edge of my seat from everything else. Do I need this? No. Do I not? Do I like it? Yeah. It's kind of like one of those things where you question the necessity of it, but you still think it fits in with the movie.
It's very surface level critique of what it's critiquing.
Yeah, it's like it's nothing.
It's just
like
so
major.
Obvious. Like it's very obvious, and like, and then he just gets killed off. Like he basically does nothing. But like, even like the scene like with the Newt Ripley scene, like even before that, like I love the chemistry between Newt and Ripley. Like when Ripley has like the plastic head, it's like, oh, I don't see any bad dreams in here. And Newt goes, Dolly can't have bad dreams because she's a piece of plastic.
Yeah, and you're like, damn. I like this like jaded nihilism like 8-year-old who just watches.
Yeah, she has like that 1,000-yard stare like throughout most. Like she's like, what about your brother? She just goes.
And they're like, okay, they're like, they're all dead. They died, okay, and you're like, oh God.
And then going back to like the special features movie, the bigger one, they have a scene. There are scenes at the colony before they land. So I think that ruins part of the movie. Not ruins it, but like I think it's a worse cut because I enjoy the mystery of not knowing what's going on in the colony more.
What do you see?
You just see like people. I think you see Newt and her family very briefly, just like Colin is doing, like just living on the in the colony. Obviously, there's no like scene like the xenomorphs attacking or anything. Just like the colonists are there. But I mean, I personally like the idea of just landing there while it's basically a ghost town by this point.
Yeah, that does create the sense like you don't know, like because you're only told there is colonists there, and you get there and you see like the sign of like the bar, and it's just in like red while everything just turned off and like dilapidated. It's a very like it's a wonderful setting. But I feel like we should go now to basically we get to the point where they have 4 hours. Oh my God, where the xenomorphs are like, hey, they're coming. And then you get the little motion tracker and alluding to Matt's like insect thing. They blow towards the door, they barricade it, and they're like, they're right there. And then Hicks goes up and looks in the ceiling, and you see like, and there's just like this incredible shot of like, it's clearly all like, that is where a contemporary blockbuster would fail because you have like 5 or 6, but they're up close and you know the scale of them, and you're like, dear God, we're so fucked.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like
then,
that moment.
Going back to like the compromise of filmmaking, like the motion factor the motion factor is there because they don't want to have the aliens. They don't want to show the aliens. They want the audience to know the aliens are coming without having to actually show people in costumes.
Yes.
And that just works so well. It's
the Hitchcock technique.
Yeah.
It's the Hitchcock technique.
Yeah.
It's
like that.
It's like knowing the bomb is underneath the table
Yeah.
before it goes off.
And then the actors are obviously like doing a great job, like being afraid. Like it's like, I don't know, man. Some of this movement is not us. And then like like all that stuff is so great. And it's like the ability to create these moments of tension without having to show like the alien. And then when Hicks opens the thing and they're just crawling like insects, that's like my notion of what a xenomorph is. And that's like why I think Alien Covenant contradicts that. Because like they are just bugs and just more dangerous bugs. And just seeing them crawl around, like that's what they're supposed to do. Like they're supposed to hide and then sneak up on you when you're not expecting it. And that's such a, and then like they come up from the wall from like underneath too. That's how they get Hudson.
That I love his death because I like how he becomes this like he's the one character you don't expect to survive, but then Cameron pulls the rug out underneath you by giving him just like this very like unceremonious death. He basically just gets dragged underneath and then he dies, and you're like, okay, that's Hudson.
He has he takes out a couple.
Yeah, but it's still like it's the death you expected him to have at the beginning. Yeah, and it gets it back. So he never like ventures outside of those like character traits where Hudson's like the goofball character. And you don't expect the goofball character to survive. Oh, surprise, he does. Oh, actually, he kind of he kind of goes out because Vasquez and Gorman.
He's like,
oh my god! And it's like, he like grabs his mouth. It's very much There's a scene in oh my god, I can't believe I'm going to compare the two. 2009's Friday the 13th, which is
there's a Black Hat. I was like,
no.
Don't
do it.
There's a horrible. That movie's horrible. It's basically like it's like basically like softcore porn is that movie, but there's a sequence and you can see like where Alien like inspires stuff where Jason like kills a guy and like drags him under the floorboards, and it just feels very inspired by Hudson's death in there. I don't know, that's like the first thing that came to my mind, but I like how Vasquez and Gorman get like the more typical deaths you expect with their character. They kind of go out in their blaze of glory. Gorman ultimately has his like character arc where he like stands up and you're just like, oh, that's cool. That's more standard.
He like becomes a man. It's not just like
it's
like form a perimeter. Around
dude. He's just like sweating. He's at the upper lip. Yeah, he's just like
I found Gorman just be like so funny. Like rewatching it. He's just so like out of his element.
Oh, it's great.
But it's great to see him like, redeem himself at the end. I was like a little frustrated with Newt. I'm like, can't you just wait like 5 seconds?
Yeah.
Like he can like insist on
like,
just wait like 3 seconds.
There is
like Newt, stop. Like you just can't stop.
Can we real quick before we talk about the final stuff with the Alien Queen? Can we talk about Hicks for a second? Because we briefly touched on it at the beginning.
Michael Biehn.
He's
great.
I basically I wrote in the Letterboxd review that Cameron is like masterful with Hicks in this movie because his character arc in a sense mirrors a lot of what Ripley does in the first movie, in the first Alien. There are a few sequences where the movie never outwardly says Hicks is the best soldier, but there's a few stuff where one, he sleeps on the descent down and you're like, okay, cool, he's clearly different. But there's that one shot that I didn't notice the first time I ever saw it, but when Newt scampers across and Drake goes to go fire, but then you see the bullets go up and it takes like a quick second to know what happened, but you realize like Hicks like as he went to go fire, like knocked the gun up.
Yeah.
Like it's like this small little stuff.
Shit.
It's like this small little stuff because for us, the audience, we saw how fast Newt scampered, and you can confuse it for an alien, but Hicks in that moment was able to see it. And like right there, you're like, okay, Hicks is like different. And it doesn't have
when
to
they're
go
on the
like
ship too, he spends the most time around Apon, which then you realize, oh, he's second in command, so it makes sense for him to spend the most time around
Exactly.
Apon.
It's all this great stuff where Cameron never goes, Hicks is our best soldier. Hicks is our god.
Marines.
Yeah,
we are leaving. And then like after the first massacre, basically, and then Burke is like, well, I don't know if we should blow things up because it's like, and then because I'm in charge here, and then Ripley's like, no, actually, Hicks is in charge, and then Hicks is like. Yeah, like he's very reluctant.
He's like, sure.
But I don't know. I thought Michael Biehn was just so great. Like he obviously he can be the leader, but like, I like that little reluctance there. Like he just doesn't. He's not exactly ready to take on that responsibility, but he does, and that's what makes it. Makes him such a great character.
Hey, Mark, can we sure. Mark, can we issue a slight spoiler warning for the beginning of Aliens 3 for Mark? Mark, are you ever planning on watching?
I don't care. Tell Mark.
You don't care?
Wait, it's a bad movie, right? Do I care?
Yeah,
I don't care.
The thing is, like, okay, this is a spoiler warning for anyone who has somehow not seen Alien 3 like me, but I know what happens in it. Spoiler, you're warned for Alien 3. At the beginning of Alien 3, Newt and Hicks are killed.
What?
They just
Yeah.
die in a plane crash.
Yeah. Their hibernation tubes or whatever like explode or like crash. So Hicks and Newt are
On that ship, on the same ship.
yeah, like
Yeah,
something
they land
happens.
on like a prison colony.
Yeah.
But like that's like I don't know. I don't really consider Alien 3 Resurrection canon.
But the thing is like they don't. It's a baffling decision. But I
Yeah.
just thought that was really cool, or really stupid. All right, can we?
Cool.
Those
Really
are two
cool.
different things, Tyler.
Can we?
Yeah. It's the coolest and stupid. They're both so
Coolest-
similar.
Oh, no. Man, this is really the episode of me not knowing what the hell's happening anymore. I feel like I got hit in the head and I didn't realize it. I
You're
pulled
like-
a
you're like
Gorman.
Gorman.
Yeah, I pulled a Gorman.
Kind of looks like Gorman with your haircut.
He does. Oh
Dude,
my god.
everyone, form a perimeter.
Around the.
Oh god, it's
It's
on
you.
Can we talk about Newt's rescue, the alien queen?
Yeah, the alien. So, basically, it's just Hicks and Newt and Ripley at this point,
Yep.
because Gorman and Vasquez had their sacrifice in the events, and Newt gets trapped. She like slips and falls under like some vent, and he's like,
Yeah.
she's like, Newt, I'm coming. She goes, Ripley.
And she's like, wee!
Yeah. James Cameron's like, now, actress, you need to be serious during the scene.
She's like, wee!
And then she's like walking. I remember when I first watched this movie, when she's like walking around like in the sewer in the water, and the alien comes up. I was like, that was like the moment where like cinema made sense to me.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
You're like, oh my god.
Again, like the alien looks good in that scene
Yeah.
too.
Oh
It
my god, it was
really good.
brilliant.
That's the
Yeah.
most
Brilliant.
we see of the alien, any alien except for the alien queen in that movie. Like that's the most clear shot we see of
Yeah.
one, and it's incredible.
And it takes Ripley, and it's not like it's like a cliche where it's like when like characters when like the bad guy kills a bunch of characters, but when they happen to just to take one,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, that's why they need to go rescue him. But like no, the xenomorphs are all about reproducing, so it makes sense. And they were doing it throughout the whole movie. Like they capture a bunch of people in the alien first attack. They probably I don't think they kill Hudson. They just like grab him. So it could be implied
Hudson.
that they bring him to get cocooned.
Mhm.
So it makes sense there as well. And then that leads to the alien queen, which I mean, I don't understand how they did these effects for the alien queen. It looks
It is
flawless, in my
legitimately
opinion.
like it's astounding. Like there's that sequence where you see the egg come out and you follow it up and it falls like this like dark figure, and it takes that moment where you're like, what the fuck is what is
Yeah.
this? And then
What's funny? Oh, sorry.
No, I was to say like does that.
I knew the alien queen was
Tyler did
coming.
the alien queen.
Oh, Matt froze again.
Froze again.
Look at that freaking pose. He can hear us talking right now too. Mark, make your point.
Oh, okay. I knew the alien.
Oh, Matt's back.
So I knew the alien queen was coming, but when she steps out, Ripley and Newt step out, and then you see like one of the eggs get dropped. It just looks like a gigantic phallus.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
man, I know it's coming, but I laughed at that.
and there's some great like visual storytelling there.
Yeah.
Like when Ripley, he's am I still okay?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
When she holds a flamethrower over the eggs, and like it's like they're communicating visually.
Yeah.
I just love that moment, and then like you see like the alien start to creep back a bit.
Yeah.
And then like she just has that PTSD attack and just goes and just unleashes
Yeah.
on those
Mhm.
eggs. I love that scene again. Sigourney Weaver is one of the most influential actresses
Yeah.
post 1986. And
Oh, I just gotta say, just whenever, I mean, there's so many alien films, but whenever one of those egg things open up, it just instills like some next level fear into you.
Yeah.
yeah,
Just the thought. Oh my god!
It's like-
'Cause
yeah.
every single time, I'm like ready to like fight.
I would argue the facehugger creature design is creepier and more impactful than the actual xenomorph. I think that's I would argue
yeah,
it's more
I
effective
agree.
to me.
yeah.
But just in case Matt, we don't want to run out of time for this because I feel like you also have your cool game to play.
Yeah.
I just want to go to. She blows. They escape. It's just a bunch of great like the
Yeah,
movie,
I want to
lights-
say like that whole base is just beautifully
Yeah.
designed. Everything about that, like it looks like you're like descending into like this weird like techno hell,
Yep.
like something out of Doom
Yeah.
or something. It
Yeah.
looks
Yeah.
so great. Everything there.
There's just like a
Mhm.
bunch of great shots of like just Ripley holding Newt and them reacting to it, but it's also lighter, so you just see more. And it's just
Yeah.
like it's like this Technicolor. It's like weird Doom, but they get away. The planet blows up because they ran out of 4 times. Therefore, Bishop, it's Ripley, it's Newt, and it's Hicks all survive. They go up, and you're like, oh my god, well, they did it. And then you look at the runtime, and you still have like 15 minutes left, and you're like
oh god.
You're like, oh god, what the fuck is that gonna happen? Then Bishop, then you have that moment where Ripley's like, you know what, Bishop, like I trust it, and then he gets fucking impaled.
He gets
you're like, oh my god.
I think that is like what, like, you know, it's coming.
Yeah.
I know it was coming. It's obvious. You know, you don't see the alien queen die, but that entrance of it going right through him, and then you just see the alien queen come right out.
Yeah.
I know. Again, like, they show the alien queen so much, and it looks so good.
So
like, when
good.
it's like stalking around, it looks great.
Yeah.
I can't even understand. And then you got the great. She comes out in the machine.
Yeah.
Get away from her, you bitch! Line.
Get away from her, you
which
bitch!
Is like the best line in any action movie ever.
It's honestly like I got like, remember Matt when we saw Creed, and like it's like, you can knock this some bitch because you want to why? Because you're Creed, I love you. I got that moment where I was sitting there, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I was like, it's happening. But there's like, the best part is like you understand why the alien queen's like really pissed off. You're like, I get it.
Yeah.
You're like, you just killed like all of the babies. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And
all of her children just died, so you understand why she wants to get revenge.
But there's also, ready for this, there's also this nice parallel with Newt almost being like a surrogate daughter to Ripley, and the alien queen trying to kill her kid. It's like, oh my god, whoa, look at that. But no, it's like, it's legitimately like one of the most, like, if you haven't seen Aliens, you've probably heard "Get away from her, you bitch."
I heard. Yeah, no, I knew it was coming.
It's one of the most iconic lines ever written in cinema. It comes off of 2 hours and 10 minutes of like legitimately incredibly well developed like characters and world and a sense of conflict. It is one of the most cathartic lines in like any movie. It's so great. I legitimately was like, oh, like when she said it, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. And then obviously she shoots her out the airlock.
Yeah.
I mean, like, have you seen like the How I Should Have Ended for Aliens, where like Ripley's arm gets snapped off because obviously she wouldn't have been able to hold on in real life. But I don't know. That scene's so great. But yeah, and that's Aliens.
And that's Aliens, and then it ends, and then the credits come up, and you're like, oh my god.
Like,
I honestly
exhausted.
just like fangirled about Aliens for like, Matt, you have a game to play.
Yeah. So this might fail horribly, but we'll see.
Let's do it.
I want us to come up with what Aliens would be like if it was made today, like a modern blockbuster.
Okay.
Okay.
Like how crappy like we could make it.
Okay.
Like take the most generic like The Rock sci-fi like blockbuster film and put it into like the Aliens lens.
Can we?
So
jump
obviously there'd be a stupid pointless fight scene at the beginning.
Yes.
Probably
Ripley's
Coleman
back.
Marines.
No, I got it.
Okay.
I think what would happen, it would be the opening shot would be of the colony, and they're living their life, and then it's like a swarm of xenomorphs, or one xenomorph, or like someone gets like there's like a face hugger, and then the screen goes black, and then it says aliens on it.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you cut to Ripley in the ship. I think that would be the opener.
Yeah. I can already.
Because we need to have, because there always has to be a flashback scene to establish
something. Can we jump right to the end?
I was gonna say like in the middle when they're investigating the colony, they're gonna go by like a Build-A-Bear workshop, and they're gonna say something stupid. Like it's gonna make all these like stupid like they take like a Marvel movie with all these stupid references to the real world. Yeah. Like there's gonna be all that crap there. But I was thinking
Hudson would not be the only quippy character.
No. And then and then Ellen Ripley would have like military training, so she'd be in the middle of the fights too.
Ripley and Hicks would have a relationship.
Yeah, they kind of like they have like the blossoming thing going, but they would be like full, like they would be like full on relationship.
That would be it. Yeah. Mark got excited.
I know. One of the actors would be one of the soldiers would be T.J. Miller. Do you know T.J. Miller?
Oh my god! Yeah, he'd be Hudson.
Yeah. Then Ryan Reynolds would probably be Hicks, and it'd be so lame. He'd be like,
oh yeah.
He'd just be like, I'm not sticking my face in that egg. You look at the camera, and everyone would go, oh, he's Deadpool.
Yeah.
We have to have the end credit scene.
No. Okay, so like the final fight, they find out how to kill the aliens by they'd be like, oh my god, wait. They can't see, like they don't have eyes, and so they rely on hearing. So if we have really loud sounds, they'll be so disoriented. They won't be able to stop us. And they'd be like, I got the perfect song to play.
They're like, oh,
They play Black and Black, and they're shooting all the aliens.
They're like, that was made before I was born, to show like the passage of time. They're like, wow, that old stuff.
I didn't know we were playing the
So they pull a Star Trek
from 2 centuries ago.
They pull a Star Trek Beyond with Beastie Boys.
Yeah,
Sabotage.
so they play a terrible action song during the final fight because it would disorient the aliens from seeing things.
We can't forget the end sequence, because real quick, slight compliment about Alien and Aliens. Both movies could end, not have sequels, and they'd be complete movies. That's it.
Yeah.
Alien could end.
Oh, yeah.
There's another Alien. Perfect. Aliens ends with a nice little bow. That's it.
Yeah, it's over.
It's over. But
on.
you know what would happen is you would cut down to the planet, and outside of the nuke, one would survive. And then it would find the body. It'd pull a Prometheus, where the body of someone survived, or they got it away far enough, and then it's like the body of the leader, or like Hudson, like chest burst, and the thing goes.
Well, in Prometheus, in Prometheus,
yeah,
it was the chest burster or the alien popping out at the end was just for anecdotal reasons. No.
Shut up.
It wasn't.
It
didn't serve any purpose.
Mark. That was necessary.
It was destined to die regardless. But this is how it happens.
Then the sequel would have been exploring what happened to LV-426, and then and then Ripley. Oh, I have to go back again.
I'm just trying to think like
and
legitimately.
Show up, be like, I was a colonist stuck in this island, and they killed my family. No, my family. No, they even said the family's still alive. That's the whole motivation for the Rock's character.
He has to go back. Yeah, he has to go back.
That's all. That's the only motivation any modern day blockbuster hero can have.
Mark.
I think what would have been a great, and I have bias towards this, and Matt might agree with my point. I think an actual legitimate ending to Aliens, which could make for like a really good trilogy for a third movie setup, is we get the standard ending of Aliens, but then we get like some post-credit scene where you see an engineer, either like he's arrived at LV-426 or like he knows,
and it ends with them about to fight, like Rocky 3 style.
No. But it'd be some sort of setup where the conflict is going to be between the engineers and the humans.
Yeah.
It'd be cool because we wouldn't need the xenomorph again. We wouldn't need the xenomorph.
I like to think it's like the final shot is like one in a power loader, and then the engineer, and then they go to do, and then
but I think one of the brilliant things about Prometheus, and I think this is what, just because Ridley Scott is a genius when he wants to be, because he did this with Prometheus, is like, imagine like if we didn't know Prometheus existed, it was never made. And just the idea of like, they land on a planet, here's this fucking ship with this big dead guy in it, and here's all these eggs. Like, what even is this?
Yeah.
But it's never addressed. And I think that's what it, like, we get the perfect circle because they come back in the third movie.
Yeah.
Hire me, Hollywood.
All right.
Just the idea of T.J. Miller playing Hudson is is so perfectly fitting of modern day blockbusters.
You're welcome.
And then Ryan Reynolds to play Hicks, obviously, going to be terrible because he's not a good actor. And then like Kevin Hart being there too, and be like, whoa! Oh,
we're not going. No, the thing is, they can't though, because Kevin Hart wouldn't die in the movie. You can't have Kevin Hart die in a movie.
Well, he'll just live. He'll live for no reason at all.
That's fair. All right.
Hicks would be Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Maybe.
That's a good point.
He can be Dwayne the Rock Johnson too.
Yeah.
Okay.
We talk to us.
Talk to us.
Studios.
Let us know.
Now it's Disney. Now it's
What's
Disney,
up?
so.
Call us, film frauds, at our business email. I don't know what our business email is. Okay. Let's get to our Mark Sleepy Time scenes. By the way, rebranded from homework scenes, we decided to mix it up. Instead of having 3 sections, we have Mark Sleepy Time moments, which are now our favorite scenes in the movie. It doesn't necessarily make sense with the name, but you know what? Screw it. We don't really care what you think. And then our Black Hat moments, which are moments which we think are really bad.
I don't have any Sleepy Time moments or Black Hat moments.
There's none of these.
No, Sleepy Time moments are the good moments now.
Oh.
Wait,
like
what?
your favorite scene. Yeah, I thought we talked about that over text.
Your text made no sense. I was like, well, maybe we should just not do it. And you're like, no, let's call it Mark's McSleepy Time. Something Black Hat scene.
Okay.
Rebranding.
You know what? We're going to hold it off for this episode. We'll come back rebranded for the third.
I got to go in like 4 minutes.
Just know my favorite scene is, damn Hicks,
your favorite scene was when all the shirtless colonial Marines woke up from the...
Yeah, and they start doing pull-ups. And I'm like, oh my god. Okay, let's go to grades. We grade stuff on an ABCDF scale.
Hey,
Let me finish. Damn it. Let me set it up. So
Film
if
Friends
someone
Hall
doesn't,
of Fame.
Do they need an explanation? Do they need an
yes, if
explanation?
someone who hasn't tied in, they're like, I want to see what they gave aliens because I have the thing in the description. We grade stuff on an ABCDF scale, no plus or minuses, because we want to. Mark,
Oh, because you want to.
because I want to.
We're like making fun of you for it.
Mark, what are you gonna give Aliens 1897?
Wow, it's an old movie.
YMC. Wait, A. Yeah.
Hey,
Oh.
okay. Matt,
I'm gonna give it a ABC.
Hey. simple as okay,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it an A B C. Oh, that wasn't as funny as I thought. I didn't have a song. You guys took all the letter songs. I'm gonna give it an A too. This is gonna very clear. This is a legitimate case for the best movie we've talked about on Film Frauds.
One of them, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, one of
Oh,
them.
for sure. This
Like,
Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Hall
it's
of
like
Fame.
it's legitimately incredible. Yeah, Film Frauds Hall of
Here's
Fame for
my
Alien. We're also not doing our what we've been watching section. We'll figure it out how to restructure it. We didn't want to make this episode too long, but then I think it's still
maybe
about an
Tyler will
hour.
release our December what we've been watching video.
Maybe, who knows? Maybe one day I will. It will be out
We'll do it
eventually.
next
Maybe before
December.
next December.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, we'll do it for a year from now. Matt, what's our call to action?
Like, comment, subscribe, comment, put
Action.
some fraud as long as it's me. Let us know why you love aliens as well in the comments. Find us on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. Make sure you leave a comment. I think I already said that. Do it again. Do it twice.
again.
Like it again. Like it an odd number of times,
Yes.
not an even number of times, because then you would unlike it.
I hate
And then next week we are back with my pick still.
Director series, yeah.
Doing a new director series. Wait, I want to watch Judas and the Black Messiah for this show. That's February 12th, so that's a little while away.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so we're doing Yorgos Lanthimos.
Yep.
Dogtooth.
Oh my god.
With
What 3
the
Yorgos movies
asterisk-
are we doing?
What?
What 3 Yorgos movies are we doing?
So we're gonna do Dogtooth, and then we're gonna do Lobster, and then we're gonna do Killing of Sacred Deer. But for Dogtooth, I highly recommend that you watch Alps as well, because I don't think Alps is interesting enough on its own to talk about for a full episode. But like I think the two are very synced with each other. So if you get the chance to watch Alps as well, I highly recommend that too. But Dogtooth will be the focus.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
It's a 2009 movie. Matt, how long is it? Hour 37. Yes. Let's go. All right. Alps movie. Let's see.
Tyler's already giving an A.
I'm already giving it an A. The Alps is an hour and a half. This is legitimately the best day of my life.
Yeah.
Awesome. I've been so like balls deep in Spike Lee movies, and they're all 2 hours, 10 minutes, 2.5 hours. I'm just kind of, what's going on. All right. Matt's got to go eat some dinner. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week. And, God, where's the end button? And I guess the final